Since there are many pedos like OmniPolitics, who I responded to a couple of years ago, you might be wondering, why did I pick this man right here? Well, I found this guy because Shoe on Head tweeted his video. Now, as you can see, his video is called Shoe on Head is Too Mean to Pedophiles, and he's going after her because she doesn't like them, obviously. Now, of course, I could go after any pedophile while him. Well, the reason I went after him is because many pedophiles have their little points as to why they think pedophilia is not a bad thing. And most of the points I've heard from various pedophiles on YouTube, this guy makes all of them, and despite the fact that he's quite sick in the head, he does speak very fluidly and clearly. So I figure if I'm going to debunk all the points I want to do, this guy's video is the best one to react to. It has nothing to do with June, Shoe on Head. I'm not responding to him because of her, but I did find him through her, and I just feel like his video encompasses pedophilia as a whole, and it makes it much easier to debunk. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the term MAP. If you don't know what that means, it means minor attracted person. They call themselves this because they realize people hate pedophiles. No shit, right? So they decided to call themselves a code word for two reasons. One, to hide who they are, and two, to make themselves feel better about what they really are. So on Twitter, you'll actually notice that a lot of people, pedophiles, actually put the word MAP, no MAP, and all kinds of words like that in their Twitter bio. That's how they signal to people that they are in fact pedophiles. They let other pedophiles know that they are one, because if two pedophiles have the word MAP in their bio, they know that each other are pedos, all that kind of stuff. So it's basically a word they use, like a code word, but also it makes them feel better. Let's listen to what this man has to say about that term.
You know, the pedophile community should have better PR because they deserve to be defended.
He believes that pedophiles deserve to be defended. That's quite impressive thing to say, and also disgusting.
I think that another reason why pedophiles choose to refer to themselves as MAP, though, is because the term pedophile, as you know, people treat that term with a lot of hostility in...
Well, no fucking shit. You're attracted to fucking children.
In our modern culture, so I think in terms of like making them feel more comfortable about identifying themselves, they use the term MAP, and I think that's completely reasonable.
Well, I don't think it's just about comfort, because when you say comfort, it's like it's a way to make yourself feel better from people like myself or whoever who hate you. But really what I think it is, it's just to make yourself feel better, because in a weird way, maybe subconsciously, you know that what you do is wrong. So you use terminologies to make yourself feel like what you're doing is not that bad. And that's not okay.
Call yourself whatever you want, as long as it motivates you more to defend people that are worth defending, it's all good.
The thing is, you're really not worth defending, and I don't understand why you even think that you are. But anyway. The next point is this is not, again, to him, it's to pedos as a whole. Another term they use is non-offending pedophiles, which really is a dumb and self-defeating fucking term. We already know that pedophile means you're only attracted to kids, but haven't actually had sex with any or touched them yet. So to call yourself a non-offending is pointless. We know you're not offending until you actually touch the child, aka molest them. I feel like they just point out that they're non-offending pedophiles as yet another way to make themselves feel better. Everybody already knows, like I just said, everybody already knows that pedos don't offend, commit the crime. It's just attraction. Molesters are the ones who actually touch children. So I feel like you need to say, I'm a non-offending pedophile, to kind of like reinforce that you haven't touched a child yet, even though you're a pedo, so we know you haven't yet. And again, I feel like that's just your inner guilt coming out.
Want to associate with them, I think that defending sexual acts with babies is obviously extremely bad, because babies are cognitively incapable of consenting to sexual acts. I feel that only at around the age of 4 are children perhaps able to consent to sexual acts, and even from the ages of 4 to 7, I think that is only a...
So I've heard this from many pedophiles. Even OmniPolitics said this to me on his original response, that 4-year-olds can in fact consent, and it makes it okay to touch them, Because, you know, again, we're talking about consent here, which means sexual act, which means we're no longer in pedo territory, we are in molestation territory. This guy and other pedos don't seem to understand that this does not make it okay. Firstly, just because they can consent doesn't mean they understand what they're actually consenting to. This is why many people who were molested come out 20 years later and realize they were actually abused. Because at 4 fucking years old, or even up to 12 years old, you can agree to be molested by an adult, but not realize that what is happening is actually abuse. There's a huge difference between consent and understanding, and that does not make it okay.
And that's really bad because there are many harmless consensual relationships between children and adults. Perfectly harmless, everything is innocent. And if you
So now we're getting into territory that to have sexual relations with a child under 12 years old but above 4, God for fucking bid, is harmless. Oh, okay. But again, you don't understand the long-lasting effects. Just because you manipulated a child into having a sexual relationship with you doesn't mean it's harmless to their future. As I said, most people who are molested come out 20 years later and talk about it and realize, wow, I may have been okay with that as a kid, or agreed to it as a kid, or even enjoyed it as a kid and thought that it was love and fun, or even pleasurable. But it's not until older they realize, damn, I enjoyed it back then, but I was actually being abused. You can enjoy something, but have it in reality be abuse because, you know why? Because as a child you didn't know it was abuse. You had no fucking clue. You were too young to distinguish between abuse that is enjoyable because your abuser is making you think that it is, and actual abuse. At that age you don't know. So again, that's why it takes down the consent point. Just because you agreed doesn't mean it's not abuse. Another thing that pedos say is that they're just having a young person / adult relationship, and that they're just pedos. Here's my question. How are you just a pedo? You're not just attracted. You're admitting that you're having a sexual relationship with them, which means you're touching them as well as having sex with them. You're no longer a pedo. I love how they defend sexual acts with a child, but yet still call themselves pedophiles. Pedophile means you're attracted to kids, that's it. But you're admitting you have sexual acts with them. So you're admitting to being a child molester, but still calling yourself a pedo. This indicates to me that you know what you're doing is wrong. That's why you're not using the correct term. If you were a pedo and only a pedo, then you would not be doing sexual acts with them. You would only be attracted. The fact that you're leaving that word out shows me that you know that you're wrong, but you just can't admit that you are.
Penalize acts on the basis of just age alone, you harm both the child and the adult, because the adult is completely innocent, he didn't cause any harm, and the child, well, from the trauma of having their adult lover taken away from him, is an extreme emotional blow for the child, which is very ironic because anti-pedophiles try to claim that they are defending child abuse, when the act of taking away somebody's adult lover that is completely innocent, that is a huge mental blow that I would classify as child abuse, so...
Okay. Oh boy. Okay, so he says that if you penalize the adult based on age alone, then you are harming the adult and the child, because you're taking the child away from their adult lover. This is sick logic. It was you who manipulated that child into becoming an adult lover, and that child shouldn't be your lover to begin with. The child may be hurt at first because they don't understand why what you're doing is bad, but soon enough, when they're older, they will understand that you're sick and that they were actually being abused from you and needed to be saved. When you first take a child away from someone like you, they might go, oh no, I love that person, let me be with them, whatever, but when they're older, they understand that you didn't take them away to hurt them, you took them away to save them, okay? And again, like, you're just fucked. But anyway, the next thing that pedos will also say is that consensual sex with a child should not be considered molestation. How in the name of fuck is that correct? Molestation means any sexual act with an underage child, so it doesn't matter if they consent or not. They actually believe that sexual consenting acts with children should not be considered molestation, and their reason is because they consented to it. Just molestation has nothing to do with consent. Molestation just means that you touch a child. That's what it means. So consent is not a factor when it comes to molestation. Sorry.
Most of the pedophile community, and if you've read up on the most prominent pedophile organizations throughout history, you would know that they vehemently condemn any sort of child abuse. What they are defending is consensual, harmless sexual acts between adults and children. Therefore, the comparison to murderers and rapists is extremely flawed. Nobody is advocating any harm at all.
Okay, so... Alright. Oh boy. Here you're making a case that pedos should not be compared to murderers because pedos are not abusing children, but murderers are murdering people. But again, this is just what goes on in your head. For some reason, you don't seem to understand what molesting a child does to them. Your mindset is too simple. You just think, well, they agreed, so therefore it's all good. You may not be killing the child, but you are psychologically damaging them.
To the gay community, I think that it's extremely reasonable. Because for one, I think the LGBT community and the pedophile community are...
Here he's talking about how the LGBT community and the gay and the pedophile community should be combined.
In a similar vein, to the extent that both groups were born with a sexual attraction that they could not control. It's completely biological. So both gays and pedophiles have had to face that similar kind of
Well, first of all, before I go on to the point that I wrote down in my script, I should point out that it is actually not biology to be attracted to children. It is a mental illness. Gay, however, being gay and bi and trans and whatever, that is biology. Well, technically trans is fallen under the mental illness category because you have to have body dysphoria and body dysmorphia. But for being gay and les, yes, that is biological. But it's not biological to be attracted to children. That is also a mental illness.
Discrimination where they should be able to freely explore their sexuality because it doesn't harm anyone. Yet they are demonized for it. Not because their sexuality causes any harm, but simply because society is not willing to accept it yet.
Well, you know, fucking shit, motherfucker. Okay, so to add on to this thing about him trying to connect the gay community and the pedo community, he thinks because they are both sexualities they can't control. Again, you don't understand that. Listen here, bud. Kids are not a gender, and thus pedophilia is not sexuality.
The gays thought that it was strategic for them to not associate with pedophiles to find more common ground with the masses, and perhaps at that time it could be a reasonable decision. But right now, since gays and transgender people have already gotten much of their rights all throughout the world, I think it's time for pedophiles to have their turn.
Okay, so now he wants pedophiles to have equal rights just like gays do. And again, here's another difference you're not getting. Gay people wanted to have equal rights, and you want rights to fuck children. Additionally, you can use the term pedo all you want, but what you actually want to do is molest kids. Pedophilia is attraction. Touching children and having sex with them is called molesting children. Two different things.
Established, most pedophiles do not want to harm minors. In fact, they would want probably an extremely beneficial and fruitful relationship with a child.
Oh, really? They want a beneficial and fruitful relationship with a child. Well, I'm gonna end this video by asking you, buddy, who changes his YouTube username every fucking day, one quick question. Beneficial to who? Because I think the only person it's benefiting is you and people like you. This entire video goes to him, but all pedophiles. The people who argued with me a couple years ago from the Pedophile Alliance, Omnipolitics, I know you're a pedo, but still rest in peace. Attuned Belief, who is also another person who made a response to me. I'm not even sure if his video's still up, but whatever. And there's many pedophiles. Anybody with a Twitter bio that says map in it or no map, you need to fucking block these people because they are pedophiles and they want to have sexual acts with you, therefore making them child molesters too. Pedophilia is disgusting. I've been saying this in my video from 2015, and I will say it until the day I die because it's true. I don't care what kind of studies you bring up. The most prominent one being that 4-year-olds can consent, and the main point comes down to one simple statement. Just because you agree does not mean that they understand it, and that does not make it okay, you motherfucker.